Okay. Let's see if things are getting going here. Looks like they are. Fantastic. Everything looks good, so let's close that and let's get going here. So today, what I'd like to look at is I would like to look at some different scouting options. There's some good possible... I think I need to change. Hang on. Okay. Let's see if we can increase our view distance here. Oh yeah, my view distance is super low. Let's bump that up a little bit. There we go. Hopefully that won't have too crazy an effect. I like being able to see a little bit. There we go. Nice. Yeah. So let's take a look here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to try to we're gonna try some scouting behaviors. I want to see if I can get something going that includes all four of my little dudes here. And maybe do a couple of different patterns. So pattern number one that I want to do is going to be a not complete scout. Because so what we're looking for, right, is we're not looking to catalog every resource there is. We're looking to find a silica node. And so we don't necessarily need to explore every single possible little bit of the map, right? We need to explore a bunch, but then we need to sort of move around and do some other stuff. Like exploring all this in here, for example, wouldn't do us any good because we're not going to find any silica nodes, right? We're not going to get any silica nodes for a while. And so the thing that we're looking for isn't necessarily... Yeah, I don't even know if just trying to find... It's like, if I send units out, it's possible they'll miss things. I mean, so my plan was we send them out a ways, and then we go up to the 45, and then we bring them back. So there will be one that goes out this way, one that goes out this way, and then one that goes out each of the other ways. And then they each go to a different 45 and return. But that actually might not be the best path. What if I sent them all out to different distances and then just had them run a spiral? Right? I feel like that might be a good idea. Or even two different distances. So we get one of them coming this way and one of them coming this way. Or, sorry, two this way and two this way. And, you know, one of them goes a middle distance and then one of them goes a farther distance and then they spiral. and basically just create 2 circles. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of possible options then. So option number 1, we've got our bullseye, right? This is this area that's visible right here. This is our start area. And then we'll color it in because it's colored in. And then we send 2 units, right? One of them right here, and one of them right here, and then one right here, and one right here. And these both spiral this way so that they cover this whole area. And then these spiral this way so that they cover this area. And that gives me a pretty decent look at everything that's available within a close distance and within a further distance. I could maybe even do this 3. So the engineer and the scout both have 7 view distance, and then the command center has a 20. So what you're seeing here is the command center's view distance. So maybe instead of this, we've got our big central area, and then we come out 20 from that, and we set up our our command center, and our command center searches real close, and it ends up filling up this entire area inside because we only go 20 out and we do a circle. And so we get that whole area. And then we can go like another 20 with 2 units, my 2 engineers maybe. And then they'll do synchronous half circles. And they'll cover that whole area. So there will be a little bit of space in here that doesn't have anything visible. But this should give us enough view that we should be able to see what's going on. And then we'll get our scout to go like way out and do a big solo arc and send back information. Because it's also much, much faster than the other units, right? I think it's like twice as fast. So, yeah, Scout has a move speed of 4. Engineers have a move speed of 2. And Command Center, Command Center is super fast too. Also has a move speed of 4. That's interesting. So these interior circles, right? This circle that the Command Center is going to do, and then these circles that the engineers are going to do, should get done pretty close to the same time. That's interesting. And then honestly, maybe even the scout doesn't get involved in finding the base location. Maybe the scout just says, fuck it, and starts actively scouting like the world. I don't know if that's a good play or if it should be a part of this location finding. But that's one of the possible goals that I would like to do, or one of the possible patterns that I would like to do. The next pattern that I would like to look at is you start with your center here, and then you send all 4 of these in the cardinal directions, but you send them in a spiral. And so you've got all 4 of them running these spirals. That looks bad. Sorry. Well, we'll make the spirals longer and then it won't look bad. So the goal here is we want to keep these spirals going all the way around, and they'll just play on each other, right? And keep extending out. I actually think this might be like the best possible option. And we'll just send each of them out around like this. Now there is a problem because they have really fast speeds. they'll eventually catch up to each other, or two of them have fast speeds and two of them don't. So they would eventually catch up to each other. Even if you started with like this one on the inside, so you could put the two fastest on the inside, but eventually they would lap the others. And I don't really know how to deal with that. But this seems like it would be a really good way to scout the entire area fairly quickly. And honestly, they probably don't, they might not catch each other, right? If we put the two fast ones as the first ones, the interior, then I guess they're all interior. I don't know, that spiral's a little weird to visualize. But they might not catch each other because they might just find what I'm looking for quickly enough. So we've got go out to each side and then cover this half distance and come back, right? And we'll cut these pies. That's kind of like a radioactive symbol, isn't it? So we can do this right here as a scout pattern. We can do the circles, right, where we've got the start circle and then we make some bigger circles out that aren't necessarily connected, so I'm not looking to like cover the whole thing. And then we've got our spirals. And yeah, I think that's 3 decent patterns. And I think that should probably work. So let's start. The first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to figure out, I think this 4 directions and then go to the corner and come back is probably the easiest one to do. It's also probably the least useful, but it might end up working out. I think if we send these out, if everything had this same view as the command center, I think it could be useful. But because these have such a low vision range, they can only see 7 squares. I don't think it's going to be super duper valuable. So what we're going to do is we're going to take like the middle location, and then we're going to send everything out in 4 directions, say 50 from the middle. And then they'll go to the corner. So we're going to square it, right? You'll go out 50, and then you'll go down 50, and then you'll, boom, angle right back to the home. So what we need is we need to identify this location. Wherever, it's going to have to be like the command center's location. And then we're going to save that to a faction register. And then we'll send everything out, and then it'll all come back. So let's see. Let's create a new folder, and this is going to be Cardinal Direction Scout. And we're going to create a new behavior, and this is going to be Command Center Scout Behavior. Now I want to do this as much as possible without loading too many programs. So I actually might get this command center to install all of the other programs into all of the other units. I'm not 100% there, but that might be what we do. So let's take a little peek-see here at what we can do. So we're starting the program. Cool. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get a self. Yeah, we need to get a self, get the result. Actually, is there just like a get location? Hang on. There we go. We want to get our location. It says unit to get the coordinate of. Normally, if you leave this blank, it gives you your self location. I'm going to test it because it's not explicitly saying that down here. So I'm not 100%. So we're going to save this value. This is going to be home coordinate. And we're just going to copy this straight to... now this is something we can't actually loop, which is interesting. So we're going to copy the home coordinate, and this target is actually going to be a faction register, so that every person in the faction, every unit, can go ahead and find this location. So we're going to add a new location here. We're going to put start chord. We'll put home chord. Home chord. So we can use this later, right, as something else. And then we'll put this, I don't even need, this is never going to need to be something that transmits. So I feel like I could just make this, can I make this a null value? Honestly, I wish I could, but it doesn't look like I can. It'd be great if there was a way to just not have these transmitting. That'd be really cool. Because then things can't accidentally happen. So let's choose something for our null. What's going to be our doesn't matter? Just a white box? Yeah, okay. So white boxes are things that don't matter to me. Or at least radios that don't matter. And then when we go back in here, we're going to go ahead and copy to the home coordinate. So now this value here is the home coordinate value. And so now everybody else will be able to just pull that value. So they can immediately go back to that position. And so now we need to figure now we need to figure the best way to send these units out. Well, first, let's get this home location. Let's see if this even works. Let's go ahead and load this up on this guy right here. Boom, boom, boom. Then let's play that. Then let's stop it. And then let's just see if this has a value. It does. 330, negative 90, 330, negative 90. Okay, sweet. So it does count. It looks for self-reference if you don't give it a unit reference, which is nice because it means I don't have to pull a self-reference, which is cool. All right, so next thing that we're going to look at is setting up all of our other bots. So we don't necessarily want to loop this. So I really need to figure out how not to loop this. Because I don't want to keep getting a new location as I do the scout. Right? So what's a good check we can do? We can compare registers and just, if we can pull the home value in. So if that value is equal to null, then we save. Mother. Every time you drag one out and release it, it goes away. And I do that a lot. Because I don't see so well, I gotta like zoom in so I can read it. Some of this text is too small. And so I zoom in a lot and then I go to make big moves. I need to start remembering to zoom out when I move things. Give myself a little room from this top so I don't keep breaking shit. Anyway. Compare registers. So we're going to compare this home coordinate value to null. If they are null, then we'll go ahead and set a new home value. If it's not null, then we just boom, come right back down here and do some regular shit. It's a little annoying to have this whole extra little bit in here, but I can't think of a good way to do this. I guess the other thing we could do is we could just make this the start script. And maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should just have a start script. And that start script will just set up our home coordinate here for our scouting. And then we just switch right to a new script. Because we can just load scripts here. And this might give us an opportunity to save a bunch of faction variables. Yeah, actually, that feels pretty good. Something that's just here for me to set up some starter shit. And so the first thing we're going to put in here is going to be specifically this home value. And then from there, we'll establish ourselves a new behavior. I like that. What are some other things that we might want to add right in the beginning here? You know, we want our home value. We want to know where our start point was, at least while we're scouting for a base location. But what are some other things that we might want? Some other references or some other values? What else could we place here? I don't know. I'm sure I'll come up with something though. So we want to change this then. This is new game start. And that's just what's set up here. And then we're going to save it. And we're going to write a new script. And this new behavior will be command center scout. All right. So the command center is going to I think in the start script, actually, we want to go ahead and load the other behaviors. So this is where I'll choose what behaviors each of the other units are going to use. So this will be like a loop. We're going to loop units. Loop units in range. The range is going to be visual range. I always just crank this range up. And this is something you can use too. This allows you to view up to visibility range. So if you crank this range up way higher than visibility range, it still works at the visibility range. So you don't necessarily have to know what your visibility range is. And if for some reason you're hard coding this function, this range, you can just crank it way the hell up here and still be good to go. We're going to filter for owned units. Boom. And then we're going to load. Let's see, this is current unit. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to load that stuff. One of the other things we're going to do, let's see. So actually a couple of things need to happen. We need to match. Or is it going to be switch? This is actually probably a good spot for a switch. A data type switch? Yeah, I think so. Nope. Regular switch. Input, if it is, we're going over to unit types here. So if what we pick up here is a drop pod, then we're going to get all the stuff out of it. If what we pick up is an engineer, then we're going to do the load mechanic. And if what we pick up is a scout, we're going to also do the load mechanic. So these two will go together to load a behavior. Whoops. I fell off. So 2 and 3 are both going to load whatever the scout behavior is. And then if we get drop pod, which we will at some point, then we're going to go ahead and pick up everything. And then this needs current unit. Okay. Perfect. And then if I don't write an item amount, it should just pick up everything, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just test this real quick and see if it's working. So we hit it, and we just want to see if we go pick up the drop pod real quick. That's interesting. It seems to be picking up everything. Oh, that's because I'm on default here, not 1, because I'm dumb. Boom. All right. Now we go through those, and then boom, we go pick up all the shit. Nice. That is hella nice. That feels real good. Okay. So that cleans the drop pod and also allows us to go give each of these a thing. Now, there may be something else that we need to do here. No, because we went and picked up just fine. The whole moving thing kind of confuses me sometimes. Um, because sometimes when you're trying to like move to places, you interrupt yourself, and sometimes it just works. Okay. And then when this is done, we're also going to be loading a behavior. And we're just loading, whoops. We're just loading this behavior to ourself here. And this is going to be us, right? We're going to do this whole thing. We're going to give all of these things different behaviors. We're going to take all that stuff out of the drop pod. And then boom, we're going to load our own scout behavior right here. And that should be good. So that's a real good first starter. And this is actually pretty important to me. What I want out of my automation is I don't ever want to do anything but add stuff to the command center. If I can, I would like to never add anything but that initial starter script. But if I absolutely have to, I want to use the command center as the entry point, and I don't ever want to interact with any of the other buildings. I want to create a totally autonomous system here. Which admittedly is a very tall order, but I'm excited about it. I think we can do it good. All right, so the next thing to do is the scout. We've got our home reference. We've got all of our start stuff. So now we need to create our scout scripts. So command center scout. So we need to get the home value, right? We're gonna copy, not get. Not get copy, you fucking nerd. All right, so we're gonna copy our home value, which comes right there. This is going to be our home point. Perfect. For the command center, we want to, okay, we want this, well, this is just straight up the command center one, so that's fine. We can hard code this because it's always going to be the same. So we're going to get an offset. We'll just move offset. We're going to offset 0, whoops, -50. Boom. Oh, we're going to move there. And once we get there, well, I don't want it to be once we get there. These early game scouts are really hard just because you can't run concurrent behaviors at this point. If I could run multiple behaviors concurrently, that would make me very happy. Because then I could just do this move and I could just have a scan for silica happening in the background. But I can't be doing this move and scanning for the silica at the same time without a second behavior. So I've got to like go somewhere and then scan. Which isn't great. But I want to find a way. I want to find a way to only move a certain distance. I want to set, right? I want to use this offset to like set a value. Um, so like, this isn't what I want. I don't want move offset. I do want get offset. And we want the offset from here. And this is going to be destination. Okay. So we have our destination, but I don't want to move here. I want to move in this direction. I might even turn this into a parameter. Oh no, hang on. This is also not what I want. Can we add coordinate values? Do I need to separate this coordinate into an X and a Y? Will that be better? Can we do home X and home Y? And then because I have that, I can manipulate those numbers and then bring them back together to create another coordinate. I don't know if I want to do that. And I also don't know if I want to do that from the program start. Most of this stuff, I honestly kind of want to be like event driven and not like setting this value, which we can use parameter events probably to do some of that. Hmm. My computer is freaking out an abnormally large amount right now. I have something running that isn't normally running. Doesn't seem like it. strange. Very, very strange. I don't think I like that. Okay, so we've got our X and our Y coordinates. Does it have any value? What can I do? Separate random. Get offset. Move offset. Okay, so I can't just tell it to move to a location. Instead of doing all this weird shit with getting a destination and then moving in that direction, I think we're just going to have to be better off just moving to the offset and then choosing what that offset's going to be. I don't like it. This is way too inflexible for me. But the early game stuff, I think, just kind of has to be inflexible because we have very specific goals and we're trying to accomplish those goals as quickly as possible. It's like chess. The first, X number of moves are solved. You're trying to, you've got different specific types of openings that have, a specific set of moves involved. And you're trying to set up a specific situation when you do those things. And the same thing is true here, right? We're going to follow a very, very programmed set of moves. No matter what. So we're going to move up 50, and then we're going to scan. Now, I've kind of already set up the scan logic yesterday when we were... Was it the array? Nope. What in the fuck knuckles is this? Oh, this is the one that loops. Oh no, this is the one that builds the array. Okay, not the one we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. So this whole thing right here, I think needs to get dropped into another thing so it can get called. And then okay. So here's the question then. We're going to do our little scan for silica. If we find silica with at least 1,000, do we want to go ahead parts also can get deleted. Do we want to go ahead and just run this and see if we find a good spot? Because this is us building the array, right? We're calling that other subroutine over and over again. So we could just call this whole subroutine right here. I actually kind of like that. Because that's all we're doing, right? Is we're just looking for silica. So we're just going to call testing. We're going to do base location search. And this is something we can use over and over again for all of our different stuff. So in here, we're going to just call this. Nope. Command Center Scout. Yeah, so as soon as we get to our location, we're going to call this bad boy right here. And that's going to dump all that stuff into the array. Which we didn't actually finish, I guess. Because all we did so far was build the array, not necessarily identify whether or not that's what we were interested in building at. Right, because if we go in, so we're going to be using testing base location search. So we find a silica, and then we check it. Right, we run that little circle, and we add stuff to the array, but we don't do anything. Because once we get the array done, once we go through all of the places, which is all of this right here. Once we do all of this one time, then we need to loop through that array and see what kind of resources we have. Okay. But now we're only actually going to go through it once, right? Because it's a subroutine. We're only going to do this circle one time. And then we're going to do it as many times as this right here. So instead of okay, I like this better. Let's break this off. We're not going to jump from there. We're going to jump from here. And we're going to break from here. So we find a silica and we check it. And we jump here and we run in a circle around it. The reason I'm doing this break and then the jump is because when we have our jump in our loop, that adds all of this code to part of the loop. Because once we finish the jump, we're going to go right back into the loop and keep looping resources in range until we find another silica. And I don't want to do that. So we break out of the loop when we find the first silica, and then we jump, and then we run this code one time. And then once that's run, because this is a subroutine, it automatically breaks out of here. Ooh, nope. And then we're here. And so now that we're here, we need to decide if we found a base location. And I also just thought of something, so let's go ahead and put it in. Inside of our faction registers, we need base location. And we're going to put this on the command center. Number 1 there, and that value is nothing. So the reason I wanted to add that is I just thought of it. We're going to add this in. Wrong one. We're going to add this in down here as part of the command center's scout. And we're just going to listen in on a radio. And it's just the command center that's going to listen in on this, although everybody else will go ahead and post about it. But we're going to listen in on the command center 1 band. And whenever we get that value, this is going to be base setup location. And then we're just going to straight up move right to that location and set up our base. So if anybody finds a base location, then boom, we just go there. I like that. Okay, let's save that. And then let's actually go ahead and change, right? We don't necessarily need this logic in here anymore. The subroutine we're going to choose here is going to be command center scout. Nice. Okay, so we've got all these other things that are happening. So we should be able to just play this and then switch to command center scout. So let's see if that works. So we're watching all the things happen. Okay, so it doesn't switch while we're watching it, but it is switching now. So we are now moving to this location, which is plus 50. And now we're in this subroutine that is our search subroutine. And we found a silica deposit. So we're searching. We should be building a memory array, which it doesn't look like we're getting any of the resources because we have to have both metal and crystal before we'll actually save any data. And it doesn't seem it must be this one that we're actually going around. Okay, and once we get back, we should stop, right? Now we seem to be going 50 again. Oh, okay, yeah, because this is move offset from ourselves. And that's definitely not what we want. Okay. But that went really well, right? We moved the 50 offset. I think we actually did it twice in order to get all the way up here. Because this is a 20 offset. Just this visual range. Or what was the visual range. Yeah, so that's working pretty good. Oh, whoops, I forgot to turn it off. There we go. Why is this guy pointed over this way? Curious. Okay. Oh, I know why my computer is freaking out. I increased my visual range too much. Let's bring that down some. It's too bad to not be able to see, but that's fine. Just causing me to have to render too many things. I guess the other option is we could just kill the shadows. I think I have, yeah, I have shadow effect quality on medium. I could turn that off and turn the view distance back up to 100. And I bet you that would be okay. That not having the shadows really washes things out. But shadows are also extremely taxing visually. So maybe that'll help. Bloom off. There we go. Perfect. That should help chill things out a little bit. Then we can have a little more visual range. Maybe. Doesn't seem to have had any sort of significant impact on GPU usage. Although I guess it is having an impact on CPU usage. That's weird. Okay. Well, we'll just leave it for now. It sounds like the fans seem to have slowed down. Whoops. Okay, so we've got this thing moving, and we've got it checking. And that's nice. And if it doesn't catch the check, I think we need to save. So this location here, we go up there and we check. But I think we need to save this new location. Or maybe we'll get an offset from here. So we'll move up to this location. Once we get there, we'll get a new offset. So the new offset will be from us. So I believe if we leave this blank, it'll count as us. And the new offset is going to go into destination. And this is just going to be No, this is the offset from a unit. Never mind. Nope, that's not what I want. I just want to save a location that is the next location to move to, so that once we do all of this, we can move to the location based on where we were going to, not where we end up after we do additional scouting. The offset that we want to create so we're probably going to have to pull that whole separate, add, move thing. Or I guess we could just hard code it. No, I don't think we can. So we separate the coordinates from our current location. So we got to get location. We know it's ourselves. So we've got current location. We feed that in there. We've got current X. And we've got current Y. And then we're going to want to do some math. So we want to subtract. We want to subtract 50 from the current X. Hold up. If I just feed a current in here, or a coordinate, I might not have to separate this. So I can just subtract. Nice. Okay. So I get my current location, and then I subtract. This is saying subtract. So if I just put 50 in here, you think that'll work, or do I have to put the negative 50? That's interesting. Yeah, so we just want to subtract 50 from our current. So that way we're going to go this way, and then we'll go back to our home location. So then we do our call, this result. So we don't need any of this. So this result is going to be the destination. Nice. And then once we're done here, we're going to move to our destination. I don't know why we can't just move there. Why do we have to use attack move or... can we just use move unit? Can the destination target just be a coordinate? Negative. That doesn't probably work. Why can't I just move? Oh, gosh. This is ridiculous. Like, I don't need an attack move. I don't have any fucking weapons. How am I going to attack move if I don't have any weapons? How can I not just move to a location? So dumb. Whatever. We'll just attack move. Who cares? And then we should just call the subroutine again. Because we don't need to get a new location. Because the next move is just going to be back to the home. And then, so the next thing, this is going to end up not being terribly efficient. Hmm. Sorry, I just literally started having an existential crisis right in the middle of this stream. What am I even doing here? Holy shit. Oh, sorry, Kev. I missed your post there for a while. Just got home from work, no audio, but if you're still live. Yeah. Mother Huss bucket, dude. Hmm. You know what? I know what's happening. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to this new offset and we're running our subroutine again. And then we'll just go home, right? So then we just move back to base location. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So now what we need to do is we need to add some changes. For example, this offset needs to be a saved value. And then it needs to be adjusted every loop so that we can keep going. Because what I want to do here is I want to go out 50, go over, pull the diagonal, and then go out 100, pull the diagonal, or go over, pull the diagonal, and then go up 150, and then go over, and then pull the diagonal. Every time, just sort of repeating. And we're going to end up leaving a lot of empty space in between, right? And the further we go, the more empty space we sort of create. And so maybe we should find a way to overcome that. I don't really know. But I want to go all the way back to home every time. Well, not all the way back to home every time, but I want to go back to places I've already explored every time, and I only want to go out 50 at a time. And the reason I want to do that is because the closer to the home location that we find whatever it is we're looking for to set up our base, the better off we are. And so we have to be a little inefficient and go back through our loop. Or here's an interesting thought. So we're going like this right now, right? Where every single one of our little duders is going out in a cardinal direction. And then they're going to go all the way to a corner and back home. Right? And this one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here. Right? And so, what if instead we cut it in thirds? So instead of going in a square, we use the loop, right? And we come like right here. So we've got a big circle going on, right? Instead of a square. And so instead of going to the midpoint and back, we go to a third point and here. And then from there, we jump back out to another third. And then we can go boom. And then we can go out again. And so we'll pinwheel it. And then we'll just make sort of expanding circles. And then we'll go boop, 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 like that. I guess it would be more like go back to the third, go down here, go out to the next third, go over here, and then go out. So we're just kind of breaking it into a grid, like a circular grid. I kind of like that. I feel like that might be a pretty good little search pattern. The problem is or do I just make it a square? How would this work in a square? So you've got your 4 duders, and they go out like this. And from here, So instead of coming back to the center, what if instead this one goes like here? So what if you break it into threes? So let's erase. So instead you go a third, but that's already been explored right here. So you double up here, and then you go here, and then you go out to the edge, and then you just come all the way back down. And then from this one, you go out. Okay, but now you end up with double, right? Because now your square is here, but then, no, you end up with triple. Because you'll also need to go here, and then you'll need to go here. Right? Because this one is transitioning. This one comes here, so this one is transitioning here. And it's ending up here. So you need to end up here to take over this one's spot. So you're starting here, and you're going to go out, and then you could come back down, go here, go back up, go here, go back down. And that's not accurate. Well, no, I guess it is. So I guess you just move. Now you don't want to come back out here. This is very interesting. And a difficult problem to solve. Fuck. Why is it so hard? I do not understand. I want to get these done because it doesn't seem like anybody else is going to actually participate in the Automation League's first little thing where I put out about running all of the early game scripts. So I'm just going to come up with like 3 or 4 um, early game scout scripts on my own and then test them and just compete against myself. So that's what we're working on right now, is just trying to get those scripts written. But I'm having a little trouble. This is very complicated. So, how do we if we're using squares, because I think squares will be the easiest to use. So if we're using squares, how do we explore the closest areas first before moving on? Because it would be really simple if we just wanted to make this huge and just break it into a bunch of different little bits, right? We could do that. And then we could just say, okay, this one is going to search this whole quadrant. And so it'll do a couple of passes. Boom. Boom. Actually, this might be the answer. And then it goes up, and then it goes down, and then it goes up, and then it goes up, and then it goes down. And then from here, it can expand that a little, right? And so then it wants to just search again right in the inside. So here's where that sort of falls apart. Okay, so how do you go around this corner? Well, we go around that corner the same way we went around this corner, right? Because we went up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up. And then we just kept going up to round this corner. And so now we're just rounding corners again, right? So we go over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, or down, over, up. But then we're wanting to round the corner. So now we go over, right? Because we're at the top of a square here. Because these bits. So now we're going to go over the entire distance of a square. And now we're going to do this sideways. We didn't have to switch directions last time. Okay. So we would come, because this is, so over, down, over, up, over, down. So over, down, over, up, over, down. That makes a square. And then we go down a full another square. We go over, up, over, down, over. Nope, that's wrong. So are we then changing? Black. I can't see anymore. I am having a problem. Having a huge problem. So all I want to do is I want to keep expanding this square, right? So we start off, we hear, and we search, right? And we're just searching this square in a simple grid. And so now that we're here, we want to expand this to a larger grid. And so we went down, up, down. And now we can go up, down, up. And then we want to search the one above us. So should we go up, over, down? Or should we go over, up, over, down? Because that searches different areas of this little bit right here. And over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down. So that takes us down on the last one. So we actually want to go just double up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up. But that duplicates all of this stuff that we look at. Or does it just duplicate this line? Up, there, up, there. And this one we add. Okay. So that duplicates what we're looking at on this line, but not on this line. So we never see this right here, and we never see this right here. That's not necessarily good. And then we just want to expand this again, right? So we go up, we've got two more up here, and then we've got another one there, and then we've got two more here. Right, so we want to expand this. So we had 1, and then we had 3, and now we have 5. And we're here. So we go up, and then we go over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down. Nope, that was too many. Fuck. I meant to just get my eraser out. So we've got our boxes. Y'all are just gonna have to bear with my... You know what? Actually, I think we can just make shapes. So we've got box. We got box. Oh, this is so much better. Okay, so we started here, and we came up, and then we came down. Let's arrow these. Then we go back up. And then we go back down. And then we go back up. Then we go back down. Then we go back up. And then we want to stay. We don't want to go all the way out here, right? Because we could just go all the way to the edge and then go up here and then go back across. But I want to do all of the closest places first and be moving in this sweep pattern. So then we're also going to go up here, and then we're going to come down here. Then we're going to come up here, and then we're going to come down here. Then we're going to go up here. We're going to go down here. Then we're going to go up here again. Whoops. And then we get to go straight up here. And then we get to go down here. And then we get to go up here. Then we get to go down here. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Whoops. Up. And then down. And now that we're down, we can go down again. So this is the part where we're going to start sort of overlapping, though. Because I've already searched this whole area. So now I'm coming back in to a side that I've searched. And that wasn't something I had to do here, necessarily. Because this whole path down, right? Because I'll come down, and then I'll come up, and then I'll come down, and then I'll be going, okay, I'll be going up here. So that's off. So we don't want that. So how then do I, God damn it, not again. It's really too bad I'm stupid. I feel like we have to flip 90 degrees on that last one instead of just going up and down. I don't know. This is too hard for me. I think I need to start spending more of my time off stream working on this stuff. Because as it is right now, if we keep trying to do everything on stream, we're never going to get this done. And the streams are just super boring when I'm just sitting here trying to figure things out that I don't already have worked out somehow. I need to build all this stuff and then just kind of explain it on stream. And then eventually, when things are developed enough that we can actually, have the AIs and stuff competing against each other, then we can be watching what's going on while we're streaming. And then off stream, and I can explain like, hey, this is how I've changed the behaviors. This is what we're doing. This is what we're working on. But for right now, this whole thing is just kind of a waste. Because I'm just sitting here pounding my head into the wall. Because I don't know what I'm doing. So I think we're going to be done with the stream for the day. And I'll just have to spend more time working on this and get us into a position where we can actually start like watching things work. So, yeah, I hope everybody has a good day, and I will see you all on the next one.